What's up, Roxstars? It's Rox with a little bit of talk about what's at the top of the blog. So let's get to it. You guys, we have to say a very sad rest in peace to Charlie Murphy. I cannot say that I was super surprised about his death yesterday. I will say that it did come out of the blue, but I used to watch Black Jesus. I don't know if you guys did. That show was so good. I was so disappointed when that show went off because it was never given a chance because of, obviously, because of, the story and all of that. But I just thought it was really good, real well written and hilarious. But anyway, on the show, we hadn't seen Charlie Murphy in quite some time, really since Chappelle's show. Unless you would, had seen him on the comedy circuit, when he would just be performing live. But as far as the general public watching on television, we hadn't really seen Charlie Murphy since the Chappelle show. So when he appeared on Black Jesus, I looked at him and immediately thought that he looked different. I was just like, what is going on? He looked like he had been sick. He just was not as big as he had been. I had figured maybe he had been sick, but he was better now and he was on the mend. Nobody ever mentioned the fact that he had been sick, so I just didn't think any more of it. And then I was watching an episode of Unsung or one of those kind of shows. I'm not sure if it was Unsung, but I was watching something like an Unsung last year. And when I saw him again, this time I was like, oh no, something's wrong. He is definitely ill. And I sat and watched and I was waiting for them to talk about, his fight against whatever it was that he had. But instead they talked about his wife who had died back in 2009, I think from cervical cancer, and how it was important for him to kind of come off of the comedy tour circuit because he wanted to be there for his 3 children. It was a really touching story because you just had the feeling that he really loved his wife, and his wife died premature. I mean, she was like in her 30s, mid-30s, and they had these 3 young kids. So again, they never mentioned anything about him being sick, and I figured again, maybe he had beat whatever it was and that he was fine. So yesterday when the story came out that he had died, wow, what a blow to the comedy world. You don't know Charlie Murphy unless you know him, but he was one of those people, because he was such a good storyteller, and that's what everybody always says. He made it feel like you were a part of whatever story he was telling. You could laugh and you could feel the emotions of what he was saying, and I was like, wow. I cannot believe that he's died. He was 57 years old. They said that he had leukemia and that obviously he had lost the battle. I am so emotional right now. I need to get it together. What made me really sad about it was the fact that they have 3 kids now. The mother and the father are gone. Now, I mean, we know it's the Murphy family. Those kids will be well taken care of. But just imagine being young and not having neither one of your parents. I just cannot imagine. I'm going to get it together, y'all. That underground video done made my emotions all over the place. So we just want to say a rest in peace to Charlie Murphy, who leaves behind his family and friends, Eddie Murphy, nieces, nephews, cousins. Okay, the parents, I believe both their parents are still alive. Prayers up for all of them as they try to get through this very sad time. Rest in peace, Charlie Murphy. Pretty sad story. 65-year-old and of Muslim faith, Sheila Abdul Salam. I'm hoping I'm saying her name right. If I'm not, I apologize. She was the first African-American woman to serve on the New York State's highest court. She was an associate justice for the New York Court of Appeals, and she had been there since 2013. She was known to be strict on New York cops, and anytime their case would come across her court, she would hold them accountable for the actions that they had committed. Now, yesterday, her husband reported her missing from their Harlem home that morning. She hadn't returned home from wherever she had gone. And somewhere around 1:45 p.m., there was a call to the New York Police Department that there was an unidentified woman who had washed up on the shore of the Hudson River. And they said she was unresponsive. They took her to the hospital. She was pronounced dead, and her husband did confirm that she was who she was. The police department said that it did not appear to be any foul play, any proof of struggle, and that it looked like she actually committed suicide. Now, I haven't heard any story from the husband. He has not, so far as I know, so far as me making this video, he has not made any statements on his wife, her mental state, or anything like that. But it just seems very fishy to me that they can conclude that this woman committed suicide because they didn't see any obvious signs of struggle or foul play. A woman who also was very strict on cops, like, the story just doesn't, it doesn't ring true to me. I guess there will be some sort of investigation, and I'm sure we will be hearing from her husband soon enough. And if it then does come out that she may have committed suicide, then we'll just have to go by that. But until I hear from that husband, that story just does not sound right to me. Okay, here we have this black person, strike one. She's a woman, strike two. She is of Islamic faith, strike three. You don't have to be a rocket scientist to know that you are in the most extreme of minorities there, and when you are going up against a huge monster such as the New York Police Department, which we have heard so many bad stories about. Not all of them are bad up there, I understand that, but enough to raise the eyebrow, right? So it's unfortunate, and I really hope that if someone is responsible for the death of this woman, that they get, that justice is served, and that this is not another one of those cases where, because the police department can't seem to find any reason, that there is no further investigation and we have another bland moment, you guys. So yeah, very disappointing. And when I read that, I was just like, I'm gonna need more from this before I believe this story. In the meantime, our prayers go up for the family and friends of Sheila, Salam. I don't know if they had children or not, but yeah, just a terrible, sad story. Tragedy. All right, you guys, so we all remember when Janet got married. I think it was 2011, 2012. They had already been married for some time, and they finally made a statement that they had a secretive, private ceremony, and it was amongst their closest friends and family. We were happy for her. She had snagged a billionaire, Mr. Wassam Al-Mana, who comes from old money. He was, at the time that they got married, I believe 37 years old, in charge of the family fortune, all their businesses all over the world. Janet Jackson was somewhere around 8 years his senior. Hey, they looked happy. She got a billionaire. What more could we say? For the following years after that, we would see a picture or two every now and then of Janet and Wassam, wherever they were, her in a much understated clothing, very conservative and covered up because she had converted over to the Islamic faith, and she was doing her duty as a wife, making sure that her body parts weren't exposed to anybody other than her husband. She'd moved to London. They said that she had fully become a Muslim wife. I was happy for her, because, Rocky love. I want all motherfuckers to be in love. Janet seemed happy with her marriage from what little part that we saw, because I always tell you that the Jacksons are very secretive and very private, and you don't really know anything unless they choose to let you know. But for what we saw, she looked like she was happy. She announced that she was going to go back on tour, and I had expressed my concern that she had been gone too long. She had gotten older, and, I wasn't sure how she would pull that off, but you guys quickly reminded me that Janet Jackson was a tour de force, and that she could do this no matter how old she was. And she came out and she started having her concerts, and we saw maybe Janet Jackson can pull this off. Okay, now she was up there, she had on 15 pounds of clothes and hair. You couldn't even see her face. She was still sticking to her, at least as close as she could, to her faith, and trying not to be so provocative and all of that, even though her lyrics, like, it was just like, you doing it's hard. I don't know how you gonna reconcile these two. But she was doing the tour, and everybody was happy. Then we found out that she had to stop the tour because she got pregnant. She was 49 years old, and Janet is not a spring chicken, and this is her first child, and she needs to be on rest. And I think we all understood that. We want Janet to have a healthy baby. Well, she did have a healthy baby this year, January. A bouncing baby boy by the name of, what is his name, y'all? Issa. I believe it's EISSA. EISA, I'm sorry. All was well in the Almana household, or so we thought. Now, story has come out that, the baby is 2-3 months old, and Janet and Wasam have decided to call it quits. And I want you all to say it with me. Aww. That's a sad thing, right? Considering they have this brand new baby and they haven't really been married that long. What happens now? Janet Jackson is a single mother. Well, what happens now is Janet Jackson gets $100 million because on the prenup that was signed, if they stayed together 5 years, then she would be entitled to $100 million payout. Now say it with me, y'all. $100 million fucking dollars for 5 years. Ladies, we didn't miss a chapter or 2 in the fucking book, okay? Now we got Mike Epps and his wife and Mary and Kendu out here quibbling over a few $100,000 a year or whatever, and we got Janet Jackson out there making power moves of getting paid a fucking $100 million for 5 years of work. Bitch, can you believe that? Not only that, you guys, but there was a clause in there that said if she had a child, then she would be entitled to a $100 million bonus. So we got $200 million for Janet Jackson for 5 years, and I think they said a month of work. Janet Jackson had that shit on the damn timer. You know, you can set it on your phone, you know. I had that shit set for 5 years. Like, bitch, I am the fuck out of here. I'm not laughing at the fact that they're getting a divorce because, like I said, it's a new baby and, you know, you would want families to stay together. I am laughing at the come up of $200 million. While that probably is just a drop in the bucket for some billionaires. Nigga, that sounds good to me. Shit. $200 million? Oh my God. She's set. The family is set. The baby. Okay, all of that. Now, they're saying that the reason why the divorce came is because it was hard for her to become this Muslim wife. And that, like I said, it was difficult. Her persona before and her newfound persona trying to probably reconcile that. I don't know if this is true. This is what they're saying in the blogs, okay? They're also saying a story about he wasn't all that concerned about the fact that her mother was involved in that whole, you know, elder abuse thing with the Trent Jackson guy back in the States, okay? And she wanted to move the mother, Catherine Jackson, to London to live with her there. And the story is saying that he might not have been that supportive or cared one way or the other about her mother. So, again, we don't know if any of that is true. What we do know is true is that they are separated and there is some sort of agreement in place where Janet is about to get pizzaed $200 million. I cannot. So remember I told you guys that social media and reality shows have made it so hard to continue liking the celebrity that you used to love and how it does them a disservice in this day and age. I used to really like Kelly Price. Now when I see her, I just have a certain amount of disgust inside of me. I still love her voice. I think she has a blessed voice. But I could take or leave Kelly Price. The same has happened to me with T.I. Now, I've always liked T.I. When I first moved here to Atlanta, I remember bumping into him in the Phipps Plaza in the Gucci store. And he was very, very nice. He even said hey to Joe. There was no arrogance. There was no, you know, off-putting. He was a cool dude. He was with his family. And I was like, yeah, I like T.I. I've loved his music. Okay, Bring Him Out is still one of my favorite songs. That song gets me pumped up every time. Kind of on the same as the Poison Tip. So I've always liked T.I. in the past. Over the years, you know, we know T.I. and Tiny's story. Him philandering, being out with other women, cheating very publicly and putting Tiny through it has kind of just clouded my view of him to the point where even with his successes in his music career and his acting career, now it's gotten to the point where I don't even want to hear T.I. talk anymore. And that's too bad, because he's talented. I think he's actually a very good actor. I can't even blame social media or reality shows, because it's all the actions of T.I. Now, he was on Angie Martinez show Friday, and I don't know, you guys, the interview, to me, it didn't do anything to make me like T.I. anymore, because I feel like T.I. is now in this stance where he knows that he has gotten so big, okay, when you compare his star power to Tiny's star power, that, like he said, you know, he trying to take this family to different heights, new levels, and he can't be concerned with being married. Marriage is a distraction for him. He just can't do it. It's people, places, and things that deter him from his goals when he is married. It was sort of a slap in the face. I know Tiny had to be hurt when she was listening to that conversation. Probably not, though, because she's been around T.I. and know he probably says that kind of... Can you imagine being in an argument with him? Okay, he probably says that kind of shit and just be like, you motherfucker. It was a slap in the face, but then on the other hand, it was just like, well, what can you do? He's being truthful. He's saying, I'm gonna do what the fuck I want to do. Okay, I'm gonna make this money. I'm gonna make sure that my family gets the money, but in the end, I'm still gonna do what the fuck I want to do. I feel like he's gotten to this point of arrogancy, because his career has taken off, where Tiny's, even though Tiny is doing fine, she's doing well in her life. We all know that Tiny was the bigger star when they got together. We all know that Tiny put a lot of her own life on hold. She even said as much on her show. Their show that they had together would always be, oh, Tip ain't gonna like that, he ain't gonna want me to do this, he ain't gonna want me to do that. Okay, so she put a lot on her life on hold, and yeah, T.I. did provide for her and her family, but it was a certain amount of control over her. And now look, what does she have to show for it? I mean, she's paid for sure, but you don't have your man, you don't have your relationship, you don't have your family all one unit together, because I don't feel like T.I. is ever going to be that one to just, I mean, he's just said it in his conversation. It's so funny to me when people say, now they on a reality show and they stay in the social media, you know, in Instagram, and commenting and saying shit about their lives, you know, and the fact that he might be seeing Bernice, Beatrice, whatever her name is, amongst other women. You know, this has been going on for years and years. This is nothing new. But they do all of that, but then they want you to get out of their life. Now, they're going to be on this reality show, and now they're talking about the fact that they're getting the divorce. But then he also says that the reality show has never been about his relationship. It's been about his family. It's like you can't pick and choose. When you go on the reality shows, the side effect of getting on a reality show is now people are in your life. You can't choose where they, you know, where they're in it and where they're not. Now people want to know. You know, he just kind of was dodgy, and, you know, he just sort of was just like, well, you know, I just was like, wow, T.I., really? Now, the bottom line is, he gonna be with Tiny. He gonna be with, what is it? Is it Beatrice? What is it? Did I write it down? He gonna be with Bernice, I believe. He gonna be with Bernice. He gonna be with whoever it is that he wants to be with, because he's going to be this free man now. But everybody just gonna have to kind of deal with it. All right, and will Tiny deal with it? I believe she will. She loves T.I., and I guess any part of him she will deal with. He says that they are best friends. I would like to see how that best friend would react if Tiny did finally see somebody else, and, you know, even settle down with somebody who treated her well in the public eye, how he would feel about that then. But I feel like he thinks that he has it so on lock, and maybe he does, that Tiny will never try to even replace him. So I don't know, you guys. I just hate that his whole being on that show was just sort of like, oh well, I'm gonna fuck everybody and Tiny gonna have to deal with it, basically. Did you guys get that same feeling? Or was it just me? Am I just overreacting because, you know, I'm more on Tiny's side than T.I.'s? Y'all tell me what you thought about that interview, but I felt like it did not make him look any better. United Airlines. So I was just defending they dumbass last week or the week before when we were talking about the people that were flying on the buddy pass, and they were the employee pass, and they were dressed in leggings and they had to change and all that. And I told you guys that United Airlines has always made it very clear that if somebody is flying under your pass, that they have to be, you know, at least business casual. And that was the fault of the employee not letting those people know. And I just told y'all that, right? I told you guys that I was a reservationist for United Airlines back in the day. It was absolutely the worst job that I have ever had. One of the reasons, because it was stressful. We would oversell flights. It is a common practice in the airline industry. They oversell flights because they are banking on the fact that they can get all this money from these people. A lot of people make cancellations at the last minute. A lot of people miss their flights. A lot of people don't show up, period. And they are wanting to get all of their money on the front end. The bad part about overselling flights, obviously, is if everybody fucking shows up, then you got a damn snafu on your hands. Now, in this case, there was a flight going from Chicago O'Hare, which is United's hub, on its way to Louisville, Kentucky. The flight was completely full. People were in their seats and ready to go. And then they realized that they needed to fly 4 of their flight crew members to Kentucky to get onto another plane because there was some problem with that flight in Kentucky. So now people have to give up their seats. They offered $400 for the people to get up. Nobody would take it. Okay. They offered $800 plus a hotel stay. Nobody would take it. Now, if I was on that flight, I'd have got my ass off. But I'm thinking to myself that these people are already in their seat. They already got their bags checked. You know, people is ready to fucking go at this point. Why y'all didn't do all this at the gate? I mean, you know, shit happens. So maybe they didn't know at the time. Okay, fine. But when everybody else decided that they was not taking up even this $800 damn in this hotel stay, now it's a lottery. United Airlines have to forcibly remove people off of the plane. Okay, so they randomly pick 4 people. One of these 4 people was a Dr. David Dao. If that name sounds Asian, it's because he is. He was a Chinese doctor. He was on the flight, and when they told him that he needed to get up to go, he said he did not want to do that because he has patients that he has to get home to. Now, United Airlines is in a pickle because you cannot, now you done already made the choice of these 4 people. They can't let him say that he ain't doing it when they already making these other 3 people get off of the flight. So now they've got this thing where they have to enforce what they're saying. It wouldn't be fair to let him stay, but then you enforcing these 3 and picking somebody else. So yeah, you know, you can see how that could become a mess, right? So instead of them trying to get back and forth with him, they called the aviation police in Chicago, you know, in the airport, and they got there and they forcibly removed him. Now, it was a scuffle. It was very ugly. It was screaming. Okay, they had knocked the fucking glasses off the poor man. Face was all busted up. You know, when you're on a plane, that shit is alarming. I mean, you're already kind of on edge, especially with what's going on in the world today. Okay, you just want to get your ass on the plane, take the shit off. Let's get to where the hell we go and land and get the fuck up off this plane. Okay, so any kind of shit like this already would put my nerves on end, child. So they dragged this man off of the flight, and he is, I'm not sure if he was knocked, if he was dazed, or if he just finally decided that he wasn't gonna fight anymore because it was futile. But it was terrible. It was terrible to see. Everybody had their camera phones out. You knew that this shit was about to be on social media everywhere, and it was. Okay, and this is bad PR for United Airlines. You guys just had this shit a couple of weeks ago. Now, I know the staff on that plane probably hadn't thought about the legging incident and everything, but man, United Airlines did not need this kind of publicity. What made the shit even worse is once the video surfaced, the CEO did not apologize. He instead sort of blamed the victim and said that he was belligerent and defiant, you know, would not get up, and it didn't look like he was at least being belligerent. They say that the man could barely speak English, okay, and now they're also trying to bring in some racism and saying that, you know, there wasn't as much patience with this man because there was a language barrier. So now you got Chinese advocates that are pissed and want an investigation, and yeah, just bad for United Airlines. What the CEO should have said is, We are investigating the matter, but from what I can see from the video, we apologize for forcibly removing this man from this plane and should have left it the fuck alone. Because people who fly pretty often realize that there are overbookings all the time, and people are put off planes all the time. It happens a lot. But for you to blame the victim and then get out, you know, it was wrong. It was bad. And United Airlines surely did find out that how bad that was when people started to dump their stock. They say they lost somewhere around $900 million fucking dollars. Putting the money where the mouth is for sure. All right. So now United Airlines is like scrambling because, damn it, this is a publicly held company and they're, you know, losing money. I mean, that shit is flying out the window. So now they have got to do something to stop it. So now we have the CEO. I just watched it on Nightline last night. Munoz. I can't remember what his name is. I was like, oh, that's another problem. He's Latin American, you know, and just a mess all the way around. You know, he gets on and now he's apologizing. Well, is it too little, too late? Some people say that it is. Okay, that doctor is going to sue. They say that he's already filed a complaint, and even though the fine print says that, you know, you may be removed from a plane, that this does not guarantee you a seat, even though he was a full fare paying passenger, none of that matters. He is going to get paid strictly from the video that was shown and the public outcry of how they treated their customers. They gonna either settle it out of court or they gonna go to court. One, you know, I just think that the man is gonna win. But my real rock star lawyers out there, y'all let me know if I'm right or wrong, okay? But yeah, it was just like, I was just like, United Airlines are fucking stupid, okay? Now they done, you know, put the police officers on administrative leave and they gonna give sensitivity training to their employees and everything. But it's terrible. It's terrible. I don't know what is gonna happen with United Airlines from this, but I know one thing. They can't survive another blow. One more strike, baby, and y'all are out. Lil Boosie, you guys. Now, I just posted on my Instagram the other day that I was so proud of my nephew, Brandon Espy, that he had written a movie called The Glass Jaw. It's an independent movie, but it was picked up, and Lil Boosie Badass was going to be making his acting debut in this movie. I was so proud of Brandon. I was just down in LA for his wedding in November to his beautiful wife, and I just, you know, something about seeing your family just doing well. This is my oldest brother's son that died. And it's just always great to see how well his children have turned out even since he has been gone. So, you know, I was proud of Brandon and all of that. Glassjaw movie coming out, you know, they're filming now. Not even a few days later, child, we get this story about Lil Boosie Badass. Okay, you guys, he was in a mall in Biloxi, Mississippi. He and his crew, his entourage, they were in the Ralph Lauren section, shopping, I suppose. And I guess the department store was getting a little antsy about what was going on. And they called mall security because they wanted them to leave the store. Okay, security came and told them that they needed to leave that section. Maybe it was too many niggas over there. You know, they couldn't keep their eye on everybody. You know how these department stores automatically assume that somebody is stealing. But, yeah, it rubbed them the wrong way. Supposedly it was a confrontation that was ensued, and then along with the police in the mall, they got into a brawl. They pepper sprayed these people in the entourage. They say that Lil Boosie was not involved, but of course when it's his group, he is a part of it. They said that 5 arrests were made, and in all of that melee they also confiscated a bag of jewelry and a stolen gun. Okay, now Boosie said that he was mad that they had stolen his property, over $1 million in jewelry. I'm thinking, why the fuck do you have $1 million in jewelry with you on the road? Maybe he's performing, maybe he's on the road and that was on his tour bus, but still, if you didn't learn anything from that whole shit with Drake and Future, why the fuck are you drunk? Why do you have $1 million in jewelry? Oh, willy-nilly all out there in Biloxi, Mississippi. Now, I love my people in Mississippi, I do, okay? And I'm sure there's plenty rich folks out there, but the average motherfucker at this mall, I'm sure, ain't just coming across $1 million of jewelry and gonna leave it there. I mean, you was already taking a chance because what the fuck is going on? Why do you these people just wasting money, child? But anyway, He's mad because he says that the police department stole his jewelry. The police department said, we ain't stole the jewelry. We got the jewelry right here. Okay, somebody come on down here and get this jewelry and explain to us where this fucking stolen gun came from. And that is the problem, really, okay? Because whoever goes down there is going to have to also answer for that stolen gun. I'm sure nobody wants to claim that, especially him being an ex-felon. So I'm sure they're working with their lawyers trying to figure out how they're going to do this, who going to take the rap for it and whatnot. Child, I tell you the truth. Niggas, y'all. That's it, niggas. And then you guys, real quick and quickies, Mariah and her boy toy Brian, I don't even know what his last name is, they say that they are broken up. Who thought that they were a real couple anyway? They say that your girl Kandi Tucker is countersuing your boy Johnny Winston for defamation of character, okay, and that he made up this story. He fabricated a storyline to stay relevant on an international and nationally syndicated television show. She said not only was he slanderous to her name, okay, trying to besmirchify her name. Shout out to Don King. She also said that he had signed a confidentiality agreement, and this was a breach of that agreement, breach of the contract. So yeah, she was just like, fuck you nigga, pay me. She's demanding a jury and damages. Okay, so it looks like unless the shit can get dropped ahead of time, Kandi is just like, I'm gonna take this nigga to court and we gonna see who gets what out of the deal. Kandi's money is way longer than Johnny's, so we're gonna see how that turned out, y'all. 50 Cent was a special guest at a concert Saturday night in Baltimore at the Baltimore Sound Stage. And, you know, 50 Cent, when he came out, you know, he's trying to shake hands with his fans in the front row and everything. And one of the girls out there in particular had to learn the hard way that when you shake somebody's hand, bitch, just shake the hand. These fans gonna learn today that you cannot be yanking and pulling on these people, okay? So she grabbed his hand, and instead of just letting it go, she pulled him into the audience. 50 Cent was not playing that. Mr. Jackson reared back and hit her in the round up in here, through here somewhere area. That shit definitely connected. I was like, oh, I know he was all out of breath and shit. He got pulled out there. Security was able to get him back on stage. I'm sure it clicked in his mind, the Kevin Gates debacle, the fact that Kevin had to go to jail for this. So he quickly came up with a plan B, had her come up on the stage. He quickly whispers something in her ear, and then next thing you know, old girl is twerking. I said, girl, you done sold out for this. Nigga done busted you in your fucking chest and knocked all the wind out of you, and here you go up here twerking and shit. But something tells me that maybe that whisper in the ear was something like, I'm sorry, I got you, we gonna talk later. At least that's what I'm hoping, because now they're saying that the Baltimore Soundstage said they didn't get any reports, so there's no charges to press. They say that the lady, whoever she was, did not press any charges either. So maybe, you know, it was, in the words of Olivia Pope, it was handled. But y'all better stop pulling on these motherfuckers. They crazy and crazy as the day goes on. New couple alert. They're saying that Karrueche and Quavo are dating. Quavo from the hit rap group, the Migos. Good for them, okay? Karrueche needs to move on with her life. Did I call her Karrueche earlier, you guys? I'm sorry. Y'all know I be fucking that girl name up. But good for her. Because like I said, I want every motherfucker to be in love, right? So if she can make it work with Quavo, then good. They're saying that Chris Brown is jealous and upset, and now he don't want to talk to Quavo and everything. I don't know if I take these stories seriously or not. I'm sure it doesn't make him feel good. But the whole, you know, he can't talk to Quavo no more. I mean, who cares is what the main thing is. I don't care one way or the other how Chris Brown feels with Karrueche and Quavo and their new relationship. More power to them. I'm sure they'll figure it out one way or the other. And then lastly, you guys, congrats to Stevie Wonder. The 67-year-old is all set to spread his worms to 42-year-old Tamika Robin Bracey in a lavish Jamaican beachside ceremony on June 17th. Mr. Wonder has seen the light, so to speak, and has this prenup set with this third wife, and you know, we ain't got to worry about no funny business. So I guess we can say congratulations to Mr. Stevie and Tamika. Congrats to the happy couple. Guys, let me get off of here. We do this every single week. Make sure that you rate, comment, and subscribe, and make sure you come back. Until next time, rock stars. Bye.